Hello students, I am your English teacher Richa Dubey. Today we are going to read two stories about flying. His First Flight by Liam O'Flaherty. Now about the author, who was Liam O'Flaherty? Liam O'Flaherty was born on 28th of August 1896 and he died on 7th of September 1984. He was born into a large but poor family, and his inspiration was the farmer life of the people in his surrounding, and that is what is presented in his work. He was an Irish novelist and a short story writer. He is famous for his socialist writings about common people's experiences. He was the founding member of Communist Party of Ireland and he worked in British Army. In his household, both English and Irish was used. Now his famous works were, he wrote many short stories, novels and stage plays, and few of them were The Neighbor's Wife, The Black Soul, The Informer, which was adapted as a film, and The House of Gold, which is a novel. Now when his short stories were compiled, there were about 183 stories. Now as you can see in the picture, it's a seagull. Now seagull is a bird, generally seabird, which is found around the oceans. Now there are two units in this chapter, two stories about flying, and we will be reading about the first story over here first. The first story is about the first flying experience of a seagull, and the second story is about the flying experience of the pilot of a Dakota plane. So first let's read about the first story. Now what is the title and theme of this chapter? The title is very appropriate because it is talking about the first flight of a seagull, and the theme is that self-belief and confidence can be brought through motivation. The seagull is scared to fly, but its parents and siblings motivate it to fly. The seagull was too scared. No, I cannot fly. The parents were trying hard. All the family members were doing their best. But the seagull was still scared. And after overcoming a momentary feeling of fear, the young seagull finally experiences the joy of completing his first flight. So the title is appropriate, and the theme is also self-belief and confidence can be brought through motivation. Now the message behind this chapter is that it conveys the message that self-reliance is very important, and parents should encourage their children to have a strong self-belief and self-confidence. Parents should not be pampering the child. The parents should be pushing the child to do things on their own. Parents should be encouraging their children to have self-confidence and self-belief. One should try to overcome fear by fighting it. Now fears are there, hesitation will be there, but we need to overcome it so that we can achieve our goal. So we have to overcome our fear by fighting it. Now his first flight, the introduction. The lesson reflects how one hesitates to take the first step, and that fear is all in the mind. One should trust one's abilities because the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. Now the first flight, the introduction of first flight is that the lesson reflects that there are hesitations before taking our first step, but we need to remove the fear from our mind, and we should have confidence and we should have trust on our own abilities, because the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself. Suffering is less, but the fear of suffering is more. That is worse than the suffering itself. So this is what is shown in this story. Now the story His First Flight by Liam O'Flaherty is about a young seagull who is afraid to fly. All his younger siblings, despite their much shorter wings, flew fearlessly. His younger siblings started flying, but he had a fear, he had a hesitation, he was scared that he could not fly, and he could not gather courage to trust his own wings. The young seagull became sad when he saw his parents perfecting his younger siblings in the art of flying. His parents scold and taunt him for not even trying. Now, other parents would have been pampered, my child could not do it. Chalo, leave it, beta, leave it. No, but these seagull parents, they were very strict. And they taught the younger siblings to fly, and they scolded him that you have to try to fly. And they just pushed him, they scolded him, they rebuked him. The seagull's parents scolded him badly. They complained, they insulted, and they even called him a coward. They tell him a lot to at least try, and also threaten him to leave him alone and hungry if he does not. Now parents, they wanted him to fly, learn to fly. So they said, okay, fine, if you don't want, we all are going and you have to stay here all alone. If you don't want to fly, if you cannot try to fly, then you stay here alone and be hungry, because we are not going to provide you food. Now the following day, he is left in isolation, and upon feeling hungry, he tries to seek the attention of his family members. Now he is left all alone. All his siblings, his mother, father, everyone, they went away from there, and he was left all alone. And he tried. Now from a distance, the parents and the siblings, they were seeing. They were trying to prompt, and they were trying to make him to motivate to fly. But he could try. He used to go to the edge and then again come back. He used to go and try and go towards the edge and again come back. So much of fear was prevailing in his mind and heart that he was not able to even try to fly. So the parents at this moment, they were not full of pity and sympathy that, oh, my child is not able to do, so let me go and take care. No, the parents were very strict. From a distance, they were observing him, and they were seeing that he's trying, but he's not trying completely. Yes, now finally what happened? He took his first flight. Now the parents, what they did was, they make the siblings fly in front of him, and the siblings used to fly in front of him, and means again and again flying and flying, so that he may be motivated and he may try to fly. But he was not trying at all, because that fear was there in his heart. Now what happened? The mother seagull, she bought fish, and she gave it to the siblings, to his siblings, and made them eat. Now he was full of hunger, and he was very hungry. He wanted to eat fish, and he was just cursing his parents that what type of parents they are. I am feeling so hungry and they are not giving me. Now what was the motive behind it? The parents did not want the child to be pampered. The parents wanted the seagull to try itself to fly and go and bring his own fish and eat. So what happened? Hunger made him bold. And then slowly he tried, and he went towards the edge. And then first, the moment he tried to fly, he thought he will drown, he will sink in the water, in the ocean. But then slowly, because hunger will make you do anything. And then finally he took his first flight. All the family members, they were very happy, and they celebrated his victory, and they just danced and they cheered, and they were very happy, showing their happiness that finally you have done it. He also attempts at floating in the sea, that he was once afraid of, and thus he overcomes his fear and realizes that it is all in the mind. Now he understood. What he understood? That everything is in your mind. The fear is in your mind. Now if you don't want to do anything, you will not be able to do anything. But if you decide that no, I have to do it and I can do it, then you can automatically be motivated and you will do on your own. Now, some important key points of this chapter. It's a very important interesting story about a baby seagull. It was a chick who was afraid of flying. His younger siblings were able to fly by the efforts of his parents. But he was not ready to fly. Again and again he was told, he was motivated, he was encouraged, he was rebuked, he was complained. But that fear was so dominant in his heart that he was not able to fly. So, a strict step taken by parents. Fine, leave it. If you don't want to try, why should we be worried about you? If you have decided not to fly, then fine. Stay here alone. We are not going to help you. And stay here alone and die of hunger. If you really want to fill your stomach, if you want to eat something, you have to try on your own. And you have to find out ways and means. And those ways and means can be found only by flying. You don't have any other option than to fly and bring your own food. But the problem was, he did not have self-confidence. His parents encouraged him, their parents motivated him, his siblings were trying to do their best to motivate him, but he did not have self-confidence. His fear was dominant in his mind and he was full of pessimism. His parents and other siblings scolded him, taunted him, encouraged him, and even tempted him with food. Parents, are very smart enough. They know how things could be tackled. So, what they did was, they just tempted him with food. Means they were eating. He was very hungry. He did not have anything for a long period of time. And when he saw his parents and his siblings eating fish, oh, lot of cursing. They see how my parents are. They are not giving me food and they are eating on their own. But what was the motive of the parent? That no, you have to try to get your own food by flying. So he was tempted. Actually, the parents were tempting him to fly and take the food on its own. But everything was in vain. He did not try. Now hunger make you do anything. Okay, hunger is very important aspect and it makes you do anything. And then what happened? He was left alone by his parents for 24 hours without any food. For 24 hours he was without food. He did not get food to eat. He was begging for food and his mother was looking at him. She picked up a piece of fish and flew across him. Now mother was flying across him. Actually what? Tempting him. That if you want this fish, you have to fly. The sight of food maddened him. He was hungry for last 24 hours. And the moment when he saw that food, that fish, he became mad. He wanted to have that food anyhow. So he cried and screamed. But finally his wings opened up. Now this was encouragement. His wings opened up and automatically and he dived into the water and he flapped his wings. And so when he dived into the water, what happened was, suddenly he felt a power in his wings and his wings started flapping. And suddenly he realized that he was able to fly. And so he took one round and second round and he was floating on the waves and he was so happy. And then his happiness was shared by his parents and his siblings in his first flight. Everyone cheered, everyone was happy. And his family praised his efforts and offered him scraps of dogfish. And when he finally was able to fly, the parents, his family members, they gave him scraps of dogfish. I hope you understood the first story of this chapter. Next story we will be doing, that is also the first, his first flight. Okay, the two stories about flying. I hope you understood the story. Thank you.